Okay. I'd like to call the meeting of McKinney Chapter since the American Revolution to order. Hi, Bob. Good evening. You're taking pictures, right? Yes, sir. Okay, great. In the front. Great. All right. Could everyone rise? We'll do our invocation. Don, are you ready?
Yes, yes. Are we set? Almighty and gracious Heavenly Father, we come to this meeting of the Sons of the American Revolution tonight, thanking you for your protection and provision. We especially thank you for these United States of America that you have provided for us and our forefathers. Tonight, we hear of those who are presently being attacked by a ruthless aggressor that has no concern for the destruction of life. Almighty God, we are most fortunate and we thank you for our protection. Thank you, Heavenly Father. You are our shepherd and therefore we lack nothing. And Father, I pray that you will remind us that we are your children and therefore we have a responsibility to pray and hold them who are being persecuted up before you, Lord. Father, I ask you to give them your peace and protection. I pray also that during this business meeting of the Sons of the American Revolution, McKinney Chapter, that goodness and mercy will follow every contributor of this meeting. Give our officers wisdom to make good sound decisions for this chapter tonight. And Almighty God, I ask that you bless those who are in attendance and those who are here by way of Zoom. Father, I pray that we will never lose focus of who we are in you. And we thank you for our Sons of American Revolution and all that we do. We are your sheep, so please guide us down the paths of righteousness. I pray that our minds remain aligned with you and your will. And all of this I will ask in the name of our Lord Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Okay. Join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Pete, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance flag?
Please join me in the pledge to our Texas flag.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
And Blas, would you lead us in the Pledge to the SAR?
Of course. We, descendants of the heroes of American Revolution, who by their sacrifices established the United States of America, reaffirm our faith in the principles of liberty and our constitutional republic, and solemnly pledge ourselves to defend them against every foe.
Okay, thank you. All right. Let's do our self-introductions here now. And if you could, if you're from, tell us what chapter you're from, and if you're a dual member or not, and also if you're an officer, please tell us that either at the chapter or higher level.
Hi, Bob Millwee. I'm with McKinney Chapter, and I'm the color guard commander for
I'm Mark McCraw from McKinney, Texas, and I'm in charge of the speakers.
Good evening, I'm Pete McClellan. I'm the Sergeant at Arms of the chapter, and I live here in McKinney.
I'm Joe Chenoweth, and I live in Allen.
I'm Andy Wilson from the McKinney Chapter.
I'm Al Lisi from Frisco. I'm the McKinney Chapter, the flag representative for this chapter.
We just presented the flag.
We did.
Blas Reedy, Secretary, and online we have Clay Tangent and Don Babs.
I'm Peter Ford, the treasurer of the McKinney Chapter. Rich Bonaparte, McKinney Chapter Registrar, and my wife Lynn. Don't forget me.
Jerry Kenny, McKinney Chapter.
Yes, I'm Gary Barker from the Edmonton Chapter in Sherman, and my wife Kathy and our son Ryan is here visiting from University of Colorado. And he is a member of the Edmond Terrell chapter.
Okay, good.
Hi, I'm John Anderson from Arlington, Texas, your state historian. This is my wife, Meg. We're so glad to be here tonight. Thank y'all for the invitation.
I'm John Greer. I am a member of the Edmond Terrell chapter, the McKinney chapter, honorary member of the Dallas chapter. And 27 years ago, this month, Nathan White had inducted me the month before, and I was the chaplain of the Plano chapter.
I'm T.L. Holden from Sherman, member of Edmund Terrell and McKinney.
Ed Wilson, Edmund Terrell, the vice president of that chapter. Ms. Wilson, we're McKinney.
I'm Bill Watts. I'm a member of Edmund Terrell, McKinney, Plano, Dallas 31, and Dallas, and I'm 6 years Dallas, and the photo center for Dallas.
I'm Bob Jones. I'm a member of the Plano chapter, where I serve as our color guard commander and vice president of our veterans programs.
My name is Jacob Van Fossen. I'm from Montgomery County, Pennsylvania. But I just happen to be a member of Dallas, Plano, and whoever else that's in Chixton. I'm program vice chairman and I'm District 6BP.
I'm Elisha Garland from Halifax, North Carolina, sometimes known as Jerry Pinkerton, assistant registrar for the Dallas chapter and inland registrar for the Texas Society. And I'm in the Dallas chapter.
Nathan White, former president general, member of the McKinney chapter and others. But, we want to welcome all the guests we have here tonight. It's a great crowd.
Who's Bradford McKinney chapter?
Jim Waterman, new member of McKinney chapter, Frisco, Texas.
I'm Bill Hurst. I belong to the Edmund Terrell chapter and to the McKinney chapter as well. My wife, Ruthine. I'm Ray Hargis. I'm the first vice president of Edmund Terrell and a member of McKinney. And this is my wife, Linda, 60 years. Oh.
Okay. Thank you. Well, we're honored tonight to have our State Society President, Jim Kuykendall, here. And I told him that he really didn't have to do much other than eat the barbecue or the salad or whatever he wanted, but now I slipped in, he could say a few words. So you can only, however much you like, sir. There you go.
Don't ever tell me however much I like. It's a big mistake. Hey, thank you for inviting me tonight. It's really a pleasure to be here. You know, I used to think the Freedom chapter, where I'm a member of down in the Conroe, Texas area, was a story I'd always tell about how a chapter was at death's door. Less than 10 members, 3 of us got together, we resurrected it back. And you know, that's like 10 or 12 years ago, whatever. But McKinney chapter, you guys have done a wonderful job. You had your hand on the door, death's door. And as I understand it from the stories, you were actually turning the knob and about to push it open when somebody said, wait a minute, we can do better than this.
we can get this chapter resurrection, and lo and behold, you have over 70 members now. How about that? That's a story that is worth telling. And I'm going to tell it because I tell the other chapters about the same thing with Freedom Chapter. We have a lot of chapters that are struggling now. As a president, I've already dealt with 3 or 4 of them this year, one just this past week. There is hope for all of us. You know, we like to tell everybody our average age of our membership is deceased. Well, it's really nice because I look around and I see some young folks out here, and I'm really glad to see that because I really
recognize you.
It's good to be recognized. It's like that country song, you know, if I die, prop me up beside the jukebox when I die. You ever heard that? It's kind of like, send me to the SAR meeting. It's kind of like that. Really though, we have a great emphasis. We need to recruit more people. You're doing that. I appreciate you very much. What you're doing is not going unnoticed. And I just want you to know, as a president of the society, I'm very proud to be able to say that I know the McKinney chapter, and I've been here and look forward to seeing you at the board of managers meeting tomorrow night and Saturday. So blessings to everybody. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you, Jim. Hey. Let's see here. Next up is Mark. Would you like to introduce our program here?
Yes, sir.
And this one on through.
So our program tonight is a tale of 2 patriots in the American Revolution from 1776 to 1778. And they briefly introduced themselves a second ago, Elisha Garland and Jacob Van Fossen. And those gentlemen were alive over 200 years ago. And what's interesting about both of these gentlemen is that they were linked together, and lo and behold, uniquely, there was one battle in which George Washington was the commander, and both of these gentlemen were in the same battle together. And in looking back such a long time ago, that's very unusual, I would think, that they've been in the same battle together. But in talking with them this evening, I found out it was not just one battle, it wasn't 2 battles, but on 3 separate battles, these men were together. And then you fast forward over 200 years in the future, and the 4th great grandson of Elisha Garland is Jerry Pinkerton, who's known by many of you. And the 4th great grandson of Jacob Van Fossen is Tom Van Fossen. So we're honored to have both of these men here with us this evening.
Gosh. I assume we're on. Well, if you didn't hear me before, my name is Jacob Van Fossen. I was born in Montgomery County, Pennsylvania, September the 8th, 1756. I'm a 4th generation American citizen. My great grandfather came over from Holland, and he helped found the city of Germantown. In 1776, there was a lot of events going on in Pennsylvania, particularly in Philadelphia. And in July of that year, I joined a group of volunteers known as associators. And we were semi-military, and their idea was to go out and train and be ready to be called up by regular military at a moment's notice. Kind of like a Minuteman. We weren't Minutemen because that was really started in New England. In the September of that year, we were called out, and we rallied at Wentz's Tavern, and we went to downtown Philadelphia, and we joined General George Washington and the Continental Army. And from there, we marched across Pennsylvania to New Jersey, Trenton, Princeton, and we ended up in Perth Amboy. Perth Amboy is right across the river from the city of New York. We were brought there as militia, not regulars. So what we did was we dug redoubts, we dug trenches, and we pretended like we were doing stuff and made a lot of noise so that the British would think that we had more men over there than we really did. The situation was we were only 600 yards across the Kill River, which separates Staten Island from New York. So during the time we were there was a lot of bombardments, long rifle shots, and there were skirmishes, but they weren't doing anything. They were falling into water. While we were also there, we discovered that there was a loyalist farmer who had poured lye in the oats and the wheat that they were grinding to make bread for the army. He was tried and he was hung. And after that, I went back to Pennsylvania.
I'm Elisha Garland. I was born in Halifax, North Carolina, in 1763. I joined the Continental Army when I was 13. And very interesting times. I signed up for a term of 2.5 years. I'm in 3rd North Carolina Regiment. Our captain is Eaton, down close to my grandson's name. And our captain was Jethro Summer. Initially, we were drilled by our captain on firing muskets and some doing formations and moving around, but we were even pushed in training to learn how to fire at least 4 shots a minute. So in July of '77, we were ordered to move up to Pennsylvania. We marched across Virginia to go to join with General Washington's forces. And just a little word about the uniforms. As you know, the militia usually wore a hunting shirt or whatever. What you may not know is that initially the troops wore hunting shirts. In fact, the blue coat and white vest that we now attribute to the enlisted soldiers George Washington didn't authorize that until 1779. So we had brown uniforms or we had hunting shirts or something along those lines. A little prelude to the Battle of Brandywine. In June of 1777, Washington learned that General Howe was boarding ships at Sandy Hook, New Jersey. Actually, he had about 260 ships that he was going to load up. They didn't know where they were going to go. So Washington discovered after a month or so that they were heading south down the Atlantic coast. So Washington, anticipating the moves, then he moved his troops to the south and west of Philadelphia to an area about 20 miles from where Howe would ultimately land. They were going to meet together soon at Brandywine.
On September 8th, 1777, my associated group was called out again. This time, we shouldered arms and we marched to Brandywine, Pennsylvania, which is approximately 35 miles from where we live. When we got there, we were deployed along the Brandywine Creek, which runs north and south. We were on the south side of the creek, and we were deployed to guard George Washington's left flank. We also had the responsibility for taking care of the supply train and the supplies that were on the ground. And that's where we camped when the battle started.
On September the 9th, Washington moved his troops to the east side of Brandywine Creek. The British Army was camped right here at Kenneth Square, across on the west side of the creek. On the morning of September 11th, we could see part of Howe's army marching around in this area. Our regiment was stationed right here near where Washington was. We didn't know it, but the British had divided their troops into two groups. They had one group that made a lot of noise, similar to some other things that we've heard Tom describe. And the other group sneaked out in the fog and moved. This is Cornwallis. He moved out in the fog, and because he knew that there was a ford across the creek up to the north that George Washington didn't have any eyes on. So he sneaked out this way, and then Hipphausen and his troops ran into a skirmish here at Welch's Tavern about 5:30 that morning. And there was the first battle that was engaged was there, and people were wondering if that was, and they were doing this to have Washington think this was the main assault. But what was going to happen was it took 9 hours for these troops to march around, and they were worn out. They got there about 2 in the afternoon, and after 9 hours of marching, 17 miles, they had to have some rest. So they rested from about 2 to 4, and then there was an attack from Cornwallis on the right flank of Washington, which Washington didn't know anything about the troops coming, Cornwallis's troops coming this way. So he had to move reinforcements from Sullivan area up here, and that left a hole in the line. And then about that time, the key was as soon as Hipphausen knew that Cornwallis had attacked, he was going to attack across Chad's Ford. And fairly quickly thereafter, Washington realized that with Cornwallis coming this way and Hipphausen coming across in this way, he was about to be encircled. So he had to retreat from that, call a retreat. And so they got themselves out of that situation, but it was a costly loss because they lost 10 of their cannon and 1 of their howitzers because the horses that pulled the cannons had all been killed in the battle. There were more troops that fought at Brandywine than any other battle of the American Revolution. There were 18,000 British and 11,000 Continental.
The battle at Brandywine started at sunup, and it lasted till dusk in the afternoon. There was powder, there was smoke, and there was some small amount of fog. It went on all day, and finally in the afternoon, as General Washington had been almost surrounded from the right flank, and he decided to go back toward Philadelphia. He said, I'm going to go to White Marsh. He sent the word down to Piles Ford that was on the previous map. That's where General Armstrong was. That's where I was with the Pennsylvania militia. We were told to retrieve ourselves, go to White Marsh, and take as many of the supplies as we can. We were very successful because we hadn't done much of the fighting. We had been doing more burning. So we were able to save the supplies and move to White Marsh. Coming up to the battle of Germantown, we were bivouacked for some time in White Marsh, and we moved slowly toward what was the northwest to southeast river called the Schuylkill River, which is in Philadelphia. We were moving toward that direction because the British had already captured Philadelphia. They had it encapsulated. They were stationed there, and they had sent a bunch of men up toward Germantown, thinking they would try a pincer movement coming up into the heart of Pennsylvania. We were at White Marsh, which was just a little bit west of there. So we started moving toward the Schuylkill River, where we decided to camp for a while, right outside the British position. And George Washington sensed an opportunity that he could attack Germantown and possibly crush the British. At this point in time, you have two columns of regular Continental soldiers. You have militia on this side, on the Schuylkill River, that's Armstrong. Then you had, over here, you had Green with the militia over here. The idea was to take all of these lines, come down on Germantown and go around the bottom of it and capsulize Howe in that. Well, the unfortunate nature of it is the weather that we had seen over in Brandywine now carried over here. When the morning came up and the sun started to come up, you couldn't see it. It was fog. So there was a problem with communication between our own lines and where the British.
So the British were shocked by the attack of a large American force. And some of them were cut off, and about 120 of them landed in Chew's Mansion. There were several attacks on them there. The Americans suffered very heavy casualties. General Wayne's division had become separated in the fog, and Sullivan's men were also beginning to run low on ammo. The Wayne's men thought they were cut off, and so they withdrew. Greene's column arrived in time to engage the British before they could rout Wayne's troops. But unfortunately, one of Greene's brigades became lost in the fog and mistook Wayne's troops for the British. So they opened fire on one another and returned fire, and the resulting firefight, they just both fled the scene. The two militia companies had become separated, had only succeeded in diverting the British attention for a little bit, and then it made no progress at all, so they withdrew. So after many hours of fighting, both our troops and the British withdrew from the battle. It was just the steadfastness of Greene's and Wayne's troops and the artillery that prevented a major disaster. And although the battle was a defeat, it did boost our morale and our self-confidence, because we believed that the defeat was a result of bad luck and not because of poor tactics.
With Germantown completed, the British recruited themselves back into Philadelphia. With that movement south, General Washington had some other plans. As a militia member under Armstrong, we were fighting in our own neighborhoods, so we retired to our own homes and left the battlefield.
So again, after Germantown, as far as the Continentals, our army and the other militia units other than Tom's that were close neighbors of the battlefield were involved in a number of smaller fights, and ultimately they were in the battle of White Marsh, and then we went off to Valley Forge for the winter, while Tom was escaped over at home. So we arrived at Valley Forge just before Christmas in 1777. We were hungry and tired. We'd lost several battles. The British had taken Philadelphia. Our soldiers only had worn out clothes. Many of them didn't have shoes. They were wrapped in blankets and whatever to keep themselves warm. We heard after we arrived that some 3,000 of those 12,000 troops were not fit to serve because they didn't have uniforms and they were barefoot and basically otherwise naked. And that was going to be our home until June of 1778. So this is how Valley Forge was laid out. Well located, could be easily defended. It's close enough to Philadelphia to keep an eye on the British. But far enough away not to have a surprise attack. As soon as we arrived, General Washington ordered the building of log huts for shelter. We also built miles of trenches, roads, and redoubts and other fortifications in case the British attacked us, so that we would have defenses. And our North Carolina regiments were Brigadier General McIntosh's brigade up near Washington, right in this area near Washington's headquarters. By February, we had built some 2,000 log huts that was to shelter the 12,000 soldiers and about 400 women and children that followed the troops. The Army had cut down all the trees for 15 to 20 miles around Valley Forge to build the huts and for firewood. The food was really scarce for the first 2 months. The Army commissary was mismanaged. Congress had not provided money for supplies. And in February, finally, Congress gave us the money for the supplies. The soldiers had to cook their own food with their hut mates. During that time, we subsisted on something called fire cake, which was flour and water mixed together and baked in an iron kettle. And sometimes we had a spicy soup to go with our fire cake. It was made from small scraps of tripe and other meats and some peppercorns and some vegetables. The lack of organization, though, was, and the lack of food and money shortages that plagued the Army weren't the worst thing that we had to deal with. Cold and starvation was the most dangerous threats at Valley Forge. The most common sicknesses were flu, typhus, typhoid, fever, dysentery. And these were all made worse by the fact that we had poor hygiene on camp. By the time we left camp in June, over 2,000 of our soldiers died. But when the soldiers became sick, they were shipped to hospitals in the local towns. And then when they died, they were buried near those local towns that they had been sent to. There would have been a whole lot more deaths if we hadn't had dedicated surgeons and nurses, smallpox inoculations, and later on we had improved camp sanitation. There were about 400 women at Valley Forge. The wives of some of the officers and the soldiers who followed behind the Army. The women were the responsibility of their husbands' units. They were subject to the same martial law, just like any soldiers. They endured the same hardships as a soldier. They received rations and were paid for work. The children, the women received half rations, and the children received quarter rations. The camp followers performed basically domestic jobs like washerwomen, cooks, seamstresses, and so forth. In addition to the wives, many of the women that followed the camp, General Washington prohibited women of, say, questionable character following the camp. Martha Washington came to every camp that George Washington had. So she arrived in February and she left in early June. And most of her time was running the household for Washington's headquarters. The French Minister of War had recommended Prussian military official Friedrich von Steuben to Benjamin Franklin, and then Franklin passed on the word to George Washington of von Steuben's availability. So on February 23 of 1778, von Steuben arrived at Valley Forge. Washington was really impressed with his sharp mind and skills and appointed him to be the Army's chief drill master. His drill techniques were far more advanced than those of other European armies, let alone those of our ragtag Patriots.
Hold on, we can fix this. That is probably.
This is a multimedia.
Turn it off.
All
All right, this is Act
Is
2
this-
now.
Is this still working?
Oh, yeah, oh, yeah. I turned off
That,
the
that
other.
sounded like that might have been white lock.
It was on the Zoom.
Yeah, I think it was white lock. Anyway, Von Steuben didn't speak very much English. And only a few curse words, about all he knew in English. By using interpreters, he ran the troops through all kinds of Prussian kind of drills. He often cursed them in English or German or French, as it was. He taught us weapon skills, formations, movements. He taught us how to efficiently load and reload and fire our muskets, how to launch bayonet attacks, how to use artillery, and how to march in compact columns of 4 rather than the long single file that we had used before that. By the end of June, we become pretty well trained in proper military skills, at which time Washington broke camp to pursue the British.
In February of 1778, after learning that the Americans had defeated the British at the Battle of Saratoga, France recognized the United States and declared war on Great Britain. That caused the British to give up hopes of a military victory in the United States, and they adopted defensive strategy. In May of that year, General Clinton replaced General Howe as the commander of the British troops. Clinton was ordered to evacuate Philadelphia and return to New York. On June 15th, the British began the evacuation of Philadelphia. When Washington learns of the movements, he sends a company under General Lafayette to chase and harass the British as they went through New Jersey. Washington marched the rest of his army to catch Lafayette and the British. They joined near the town of Monmouth. Washington sent about 1/3 of his army ahead under the command of General Charles Lee. He hoped to surprise the Redcoats. That didn't happen. On June 28, 1778, General Lee attacked the British rear guard. His troops outnumbered the enemy 2-1, but Lee had no confidence in his soldiers, so he did not press the advantage, and General Cornwallis took the initiative. It almost became a disaster when Washington approached the fighting. He came across many panic-stricken troops that were fleeing the enemy. He was enraged. He galloped ahead with his troops. He removed Lee from command. Washington rallied the troops he had and continued to attack the British, which gave time for the rest of the army to get caught up to enjoy the battle. Washington placed General Nathaniel Greene's division on the right and General Alexander's division on the left. These men were turned over to Lafayette and kept in reserve. General Wayne assumed command over the other elements of Lee's force and manned Lafayette's front. Artillery was placed on both flanks, and the guns on the right were positioned to rain fire on the British.
The American counterattack on the British right forced the British to fall back and to reorganize. The fighting seesawed back and forth under that brutal June 100-degree weather for several hours, but by 6 p.m., the British felt that they had had enough, so they called it off. And Wayne wanted to press the attack, but Washington said his troops had suffered too much heat, so they didn't pursue the attack. The British didn't give Washington a chance to renew the fight in the morning. They slipped away under the cover of darkness and resumed their withdrawal to New York City. Monmouth was the biggest and longest one-day battle of the war. And although tactically it was a draw, the battle was a strategic victory and a political triumph for the Continental Army and for General Washington. The Army had absorbed its Valley Forge training and stood as equals to the British in a large European-style engagement.
After Monmouth Courthouse, I returned home. My commitment was up. I began my new career as a county tax collector and a recruiter for the regular army. Around 1800, I moved my family to Augusta County, Virginia, and I began a new life with my brother and John and his family. During my life, I am married 3 times. I have 6 children, 4 born in Pennsylvania, 2 born in Virginia, and in 1845, I died of natural causes, and I am buried there.
After Monmouth Courthouse, I completed my enlistment. I returned to North Carolina. In 1781, I joined the North Carolina militia as a substitute for my brother. I was at the Battle of Guilford Courthouse under General Nathaniel Greene. I married Lucy Reeves in December of 1783. We had 10 children and moved to Tennessee and lived there the rest of our lives, where I died in 1836. And that is the tale of 2 patriots in the American Revolution, Jacob Van Fossen and Elisha Garland.
By the way, we did get a chance to mention it, but in the last battle we fought, the same battle in Monmouth, that's where the legend or the rumor about Molly Pitcher happened. She actually happened in that battle.
Anyone have any questions for them?
Do we have any members here tonight whose patrons also are in the same battle?
Raise your hands. Raise your hands.
2, at least 3, looks like. Well, gentlemen, thank you so much for speaking to us. And we have the certificates for the great grandchildren. Mr. Van Fossen for you, and Mr. Pinkerton for you as well. Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
Appreciate
Thank
it,
you, sir.
Thanks
Yes,
for
sir.
the offer. Great.
Or Jerry, I have a question. Did either one of them leave any kind of diary or written account of their activities during the American Revolution?
Jacob did. He had an account because he applied for a pension. And as he applied for the pension, he had to detail it, which he did. He gave it to the attorney. Unfortunately, the attorney never finalized it, so he didn't get the pension, but he is on record in the Revolutionary War rolls.
Well, did he have, and just to be on the road, did he have, was there anything saved as far as his application that showed his activity?
No, it just said, it just listed the battles and the time frame. It didn't talk about what actually happened. He was there, there was the time, here was the next battle. That was about what it was.
Elisha had the same thing. He had a pension where I got most of the details of where events happened. And it doesn't mention Valley Forge, but from other sources, I have found that the 3rd North Carolina was at Valley Forge, and he's actually on the rolls, the Valley Forge group there. But it all came, most of it came from his pension application that he dictated and signed with his ex.
By the way, this is the Brandywine battle flag here. That is the Monmouth Courthouse battle flag. You'll notice that it has the British flag up in the corner and the rest of the field is yellow. That was a signal to people that if you were following the British, you're a coward.
And on this last slide that I put on the flag, that's Guilford Courthouse battle flag. So that we have that one also. Any other questions?
We'll be here all week.
Very good.
Oh. Really great, guys. Really great.
Okay. touch on some of the announcements and the old business. We really don't have any old business, but several things I wanted to tell you about. The number one is the 2023 dues. Guys, you can go online right now because I did it today and you can pay your dues, okay? Please go ahead and do it. Don't put it off. Just keep putting it off. Guess what? It's the end of December and then there you are, you know. So you get a chance, you know, you're not going to make all that much money on that interest. You got a checking account anyway. So you might as well go ahead and use it to get one thing off your plate. So what I heard just the other day was probably the one that'll be coming in the mail for you, for those that like to do it by mail. And we'll also have the membership cards. But probably they're about 2 weeks away, really about a month away, probably before they get in the mail. That's what I heard anyway. So that's where we are on that right now. Wreaths across America. You know, we're coming into the time of the year for Thanksgiving and of course Christmas, and we're all very blessed. I don't think there's anybody that could say that they're very blessed compared to a lot of people in the world. Okay. So we sort of like to do some things, and again this year, like we did last year, we're going to do our Wreaths Across America project. I talked with the lady who's in charge of the Cemetery Association up in Melissa, and we're going to do that again with them. It's you, some of y'all recall, but maybe some of you haven't heard this before. Basically, they have about one larger cemetery and then one very small cemetery. In fact, they have about 100 veterans buried up there. So last year, we took on the role of being a partner with them, and we told them we would pay for 2/3 of the wreaths. And we actually did that and exceeded that. And we ended up, the way we worked it, got a carryover of another 10 or maybe even, I don't know, it was 10 or 20 wreaths anyway, carried over to this year. So we don't have as much to do this year, but again, I'll be announcing that and sending a link on, and I would like everybody who that touches their hearts relative to having a veteran that fought in a war or whatever. It'll be again like last year. You get 2 wreaths for $15, and the plan that we sign up for, we've chosen not to take any profits out of that at all. So instead of us getting a profit into the chapter, they provide an extra wreath for free. So basically, we get, each time you buy 2 wreaths, we really get 3 wreaths. Okay, so start thinking about that and thinking about what you might like to do there. Because again, we have a commitment to do that.
When do you collect this? When do you need the money in by?
So I think it's sometime like toward the end of November, as I recall. I've got to find out that I'm going to be putting out a message on the feed, but it's and like I said, I'll provide a link. All you got to do is click on the link; it'll take you right to it. We have a special page with our name on it, and all you have to do is just get out your credit card and buy one, 2 or 4 or 6 or 8 or whatever you feel like. So anyway. And also I would, there's several of us up in here that went actually and were part of the participation of that. And that's a very memorable thing. We had everyone from, let's see here, probably about 10 or 11 years old. We had some kids that age, some older than that, up to our senior man who's not in here this week. He's had some surgery and some problems, but he's on the mend. Anyway, that's Hoover. Yeah, okay. Anyway, he's on the mend, and he's in everybody else, but he just turned 92 years ago, like a day or 2. So we had all sorts of people there. I thought it was very rewarding, even though it was cold, as I recall there. I bet Pete remembers that. Yeah, it's cold there. So anyway, enough on that, but please start thinking about that because we want to do that. Another thing that we want to do is we're going to basically team up with some of the other chapters, and we're going to basically get some presents for the the Bonham VA veterans. And with that, I'd like to turn this over to Bob Johns. Bob, you can come up. He'll tell you about what we're doing, what chapters are associated with it, and what we hope to do here with that.
Thank you, Tom.
Yep.
Good evening, folks. As a reminder, to introduce myself, I'm Bob Johns from our Plano chapter. And pleased to be with you tonight. I did want to run down a little bit of the plans for some of the activities around Christmas for the veterans at the Sam Rayburn Health Center over in Bonham. John Greer and I serve as the primary representatives for volunteers at Bonham. And in previous years, we've had some pretty elaborate Christmas parties. But the pandemic has shut that down completely. In fact, for 2 or 3 years now, we've done nothing. We haven't even been able to go into the facility. But this year, looks like they're going to start something up again, and we want to be a part of that. And so what we would like to do is partner with your chapter, our chapter in Plano, Edmund Terrell, East Fork Trinity, and the Admiral Fletcher Warren chapter in Greenville, and accumulate a fund that we can then use to purchase some gifts. The idea would be that we will use the needs list, which is published by the Veterans Administration in Bonham once a quarter, listing the items that they need for those veterans who are residing there. There's about 300 veterans, male and female, either in domicile or in drug treatment or another treatments from trauma, and those are the recipients of the gifts. And when I pass on here through the evening, I'll pass out a list of those needs and let you see the kind of things we'll purchase. But the plan is, but by say November 15th, if that works okay, if each of these 5 chapters will communicate to John or I the amount of money that you can set aside as a donation for funds, and then we will use that needs list to distribute that money around those gifts. Those gifts we will deliver to Bonham. Individuals or more than one from each chapter can go along. We'll have a little photo session. We can't pass out those gifts. We can't associate yet with veterans, but the staff there will then take those donations and go around to each of the vets and pass out what we have donated. And as someone once said earlier, if all of our members could, even just for a few minutes, take a look at that facility and see some of the veterans in there around the holidays, all alone, nobody comes to see them, nothing happens. Some gifts like this and some recognition just go an awfully long way. So that's the gift part of the idea. The second part of it is a Christmas card donation. And to do that, these same 5 chapters, we're suggesting that at Dollar Store or Dollar Tree, any place that has inexpensive Christmas cards, buy 300 of those. And as an example of what that might cost, Dollar Store sells 50 cards in a box for $6, so you're only talking $36. Then in Plano, and each chapter will get some volunteers to sign these cards. We don't sign them with names, that's a personal item. We'll recommend that we write in each of the cards, thank you for your service from the X chapter of the Sons of the American Revolution. We'll take those cards over to Bonham and pass those out to the veterans as well, or at least the staff there will pass them out. And that's kind of the Christmas program. Glad that you are willing to participate here in McKinney, and we'll just stay in touch on this. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. So I think maybe some of you recall for our Christmas party last year, we actually, I went and bought the cards, and I think we ended up providing right around 200 cards, okay, up there. And as Bob was saying, it's the price of the cards is, not what we even worrying about. We can get the cards. The main thing is the handwritten part of that, where we're not just sending something, but we stamped or we put a label in or something, somebody that actually hand wrote this, that did it, cared enough to say, here, I want to give you a Christmas card. And I guess what I like about this overall thing is with the Wreaths Across America, we're honoring our veterans that have passed on. And with this one, we're honoring the ones that are, basically struggling right now in life. And so I think that's really right in line with what we should be doing. And like I said, I'm really excited about that. So we'll chat about that some more, and I'll be sending out some information on that. But again, if that touches your heart, or wherever it might touch anyway, think about that and think about what you might do to help us a little bit there. Okay, our next meeting is going to be right here on November the 17th. And everybody's here today. Hopefully you'll come back again next week. Great turnout. I'm really excited about the turnout. This is wonderful. As before, we do it in person, and we also do it on Zoom. We've got this down pretty good now, it seems like, so for the most part. So we're going to keep doing that. For some of us that can't, some of our fellow compatriots that can't get out right now. Okay, on the news business. Okay, so I know you guys know for a number of months we've been looking for someone to replace Louis. Basically, he was the vice president of our awards program, Louis Juarez, who passed away suddenly. Great guy. He had it down. He was doing a lot of good work. Things were really working good. But anyway, so we've been looking for quite some time. And at this point in time, we have one nominee for the job. Okay. So at this point in time, I would like to see if there's anyone else that would like to step up and challenge this one nominee. So is anyone out here in the audience that would like to challenge the nominee for the job of vice president of awards?
Hearing none.
Don't rush it.
So this is my sergeant at arms now. You see, he's just trying to rush us along. Do I hear anything? Do I need to say anything else, Pete? Or is that good enough?
Take a vote.
Take a vote. Okay. So again, met, turns out to be my nephew, Andy Milson here. Andy, was that before, right after, or was it before you were even in? So around the same time, I had been talking to him a little bit because he was basically an Eagle Scout. In my wildest dreams, I didn't know what he was going to say next, Andy. I was trying to talk him into getting us into the Eagle Scout things more because he happened to resonate with that. I knew he could talk with those people and would be highly respected for that. Well, anyway, so he came after one of the meetings and said, well, I think I want to do the whole job. So I sort of almost like I picked myself up out of the floor and said, well, thank you, that's great. So anyway, so at this point in time, do I hear a nomination for someone that would nominate Andy Milson for this position? Oh my gosh, we got 3 of them, 4 or 5. Okay, just pick 1 or 2 off the video there. So for the notes. Okay, thank you guys. Let's see here. Do we have any discussion? Am I still doing this right? Second. Oh, I need a second.
Yeah. He says he's gonna do a fine job.
Are you gonna second me? Okay, Pete's got a second. Okay, all those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, you've done it now. Okay, Andy, would you come up here? And it turns out, since we've got our president of the Texas Society here, he is going to duck you or whatever the right word.
I am going to duck you, young man. This is the average age of the future of the SAR, right? That's what I'm talking about, right here. And you can take a look at me over here, raise your right hand for me, please. Compatriot Andrew James Nelson. Andy. Having been duly elected in the office of Vice President of Awards in the McKinney Chapter, Texas Society Sons of the American Revolution, do you promise to swear to support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America and the Constitution and bylaws of the National Society Sons of the American Revolution? And do you further promise to swear that you will faithfully discharge the duties of your office to the best of your knowledge and ability, and that you will at all times conduct yourself in a manner worthy of our society, so help you God? Thank you, sir. What a blessing it is to have you aboard. Thank you so much. The chapter. This is important. This is a big deal because, you know, I'm very big on mentoring. And this young man, it's just like iron sharpens iron. So one man sharpens another. So we need to do that very well. Nobody is too old to mentor and too young to be a mentee. So compatriots of the McKinney chapter, I have officially installed this young man who you have duly elected tonight for this office. I now remind you of your obligations to him to assist and support and encourage him in the discharge of his duties, thus furthering the principles and purposes of the Sons of the American Revolution. Do you promise to do that?
Yes.
Thank you very much. Thank you again, Andy.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. Thank you, President Kuykendall, for doing that for us. Okay.
I thought I was gonna get to arm wrestle somebody.
Challenge the nominee. Well, you never, we haven't talked about how we would settle the challenge.
The initiation.
I would love to we got to the point where we had the challenge. You know, we had several people that were wanting to do it, so this is great. Okay, so let's see here. So that's all taken care of. Oh, right quick, how many schools have you sent messages to?
So I've contacted 3 school districts, 3 or 4 private schools, as well as 2 or 3 homeschool organizations. Sent them the information about the teacher award and all the various student contests as well. So so far I've only heard back from 1 school district, but that's not bad. That's all we need.
Okay. We're getting started anyway. And we don't have a lot of time. Right? We get this done by the end of the year. You know, so yeah. So anyway, okay, thanks so much. Let's see here. I guess next up we have approval of the minutes. The minutes have been posted online. And at this time, do I hear a motion? Okay. That was Joe. Okay. Okay. Is there any discussion? Oh, I got a second. Keeping on track. You know why Pete's the sergeant at arms, don't you? Have you noticed when he stands up how tall he is? He can look down on everybody and say, wait a minute. Okay, do I hear a second? Okay, let's do Van Fossen in the back. Okay. Okay, do we have any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? All right. Okay, the next one is the treasurer's report. So we're going to have a little bit of a change. We had been basically approving the treasurer's report each month. But we had some discussions with some of our district vice presidents and some other people, talked with Nathan about it, various others. And really the proper way to do this, because we were approving him saying, well, here's a balance, it's not what was spent, the details. So we decided really the proper way to do this is for Peter each month to continue to give us the updates on the balance in our budget. But then once a year, we'll do an audit on it. And then we bring that forward to the chapter for approval. So when Peter took over this job after we lost our other treasurer to COVID, he actually did an audit back 2 years, and it all looked fine. So he's starting fresh from that point. So that's sort of what we're going to do from now. So with that, Peter, I'll let you come up and tell us how much money.
Yes, sir. Okay, so the bank balance as of September 15th meeting was $6,484.44. Since that time, we've received $180 from 9 dual chapter membership dues. The bank balance is currently $6,664.44.
Thanks. So, and by the way, I'm thanking everybody tonight for some reason. I'm not sure why, but so Peter's another one. You know, we basically, he came on board and we lost our treasurer, and he came on board and said, I think I want to do that job. Brand new member. So we're excited to have him. He's doing a great job. He's helped me immensely with working on this BOM, for example. We had 3 sets of eyes on all the registration forms coming in, making sure we weren't missing anything. And I don't think we have. I'll let you know whether, you know, after I get back from my trip to Mexico, I'm going on tomorrow, so I can get out of being here.
You're taking me with, right?
Oh, yeah. I'm just teasing you guys. I'm going to be there tomorrow. Okay. Okay. Thank you so much. Okay. So next up, let's see here. We did that at the bottom. I got that on there twice. Hey, Bob, you want to give that again since I got that?
No, I think they remember. I hope so.
Okay. Okay. So, but at this time we do have another thing. If we could, John Greer. And then you can stand up. Can you stand up? Okay. Man wants to give you something.
Oh.
All right, here you go. Mark.
One of the most enjoyable things I get to do is present the Vietnam commemoration to these veterans. We are right at about 1,100 veterans that we have done this for in the North Texas area. I'm going to do a program. In 2012, President Obama recognized the veterans that served from November 1st, 1955 to May 15th, 1975. For 13 years, we would honor these veterans till 2025, which would be the 50th anniversary of the end of the Vietnam War. I'm going to give you this little brochure here, and we're going to talk about it. Okay, we're going to present you with a lapel pin, and the eagle, you know what the eagle represents. Okay, the blue star that's around the edge of the pin represents the canton. If you'll look over here to the flag behind us, that represents the canton, which is where the flags are. There is a reef on it, and the stars that are on it represent the 6 allies who served, sacrificed, and fought alongside Australia, New Zealand, Philippines, the Republic of Korea, Thailand, and the United States. The message on the back of the pin is that a grateful nation thanks and honors you. I'm going to have T.O. present you the lapel pin.
On behalf of the Department of Defense, it is my pleasure to represent them and pin you with this lapel pin.
Ooh, ah!
Blood. We won't use the cluster on the back. We thank you for your service to the nation.
Thank you.
And welcome home.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, I know a few things about, I know a few things about Al, and I'm gonna tell you one of them. And hopefully it won't bug me that, what is that bird that's on that head of the thing?
It's an eagle.
Oh, it is, isn't it? Yeah, but it's that big tower back there. The eagle. Okay, so Al is a West Point graduate, okay? So anyway, and he's told me about a lot of things he's done, had to do, those sorts of things. So congratulations, buddy. Appreciate you. Okay. Let's see. That done. For others. I think we're pretty close here. Let's see, is there any other business? Did I forget something? Yes.
I just wanted to say thanks for inviting me here tonight, that I was very impressed with the turnout, and that I wanted to add to your dues statement, if you don't mind, reminder of the dues. How many in here have junior members? Are there any junior members under your chapter, under 18?
Yeah, we have 3, I think, or 4.
Well, Jim, I may be stealing a little bit of his thunder, I apologize for that. Jim has, with his organization at the state, have waived dues for junior members.
Right.
Right. So you, as their relative, the parent, you carry that message back home. We do not want to lose their membership, so why not just waive that?
Right, that's $5. Yeah.
The second thing I wanted to add was, what a great job on Reed's Cross America. Y'all are really on top of it.
Thank you.
I think other chapters model that. You're actually a member of the organization. I believe you have your own website.
Well, when you set it up, basically, if you become a partner, basically to one of the cemeteries, then they form that. It's within the Wreaths Across America website, but it's where that basically we have our own page there where we can go right to it, and then it goes right to council as a part of that cemetery.
Is that cemetery a long time contributing from the cemetery, or are they new to the Reed's Cross?
So basically, we were both new. I'd never done it before, and they'd never done it before either. And basically, they ended up for the first time and put a thing out there and was looking for a partner. And when I decided, well, I want to do more than us just write the check, I want us to go out and participate in it. I started looking and found them. So it was the blind leading the blind there, but we pulled it off. I thought pretty successful.
It would be my great honor if your chapter members would join me and my wife for a picture, and any of the others that would like to participate after your chapter is closed.
Okay. Thank you. Appreciate it, Sean.
Okay. Just have a certificate on one.
Come on up here.
It's only 10.
It's gonna surprise you know who today.
Well, I've already told him.
What, you told him?
5
Oh,
months.
man. Okay, I gotta be done.
Wreaths Across America is basically like he did. He set up a chapter-wide fund, and it's tied into a cemetery. It's really easy to do. If you have a favorite cemetery that you want to participate with, you can set one up. It's very easy to do online. The next thing is membership. Do like I did. Lifer. Get your perpetual membership, life membership. So much easier. All I have to do is write a check to my different chapters. Okay. Bob, would you join me up here, please?
Yes, sir.
This young man joined me at the Armed Forces Parade, and we spent about 10 minutes with 6 other guys learning how to fire a musket safely. And then we marched downtown Sherman, and we aimed at a building, and then we're told, no, we can't aim at the building, we have to aim at the field. So we turned, except for one person, Bob wasn't one of them, but one person aimed for the building. But the rest of us did what we're supposed to, we fired out, and no one got hurt. So I'm presenting him with a certificate for learning to fire a musket.
Thank you.
And I thank you so much for joining us and
for teaching.
It's fun.
There you go. Hey, Bill?
Yes, sir.
Hey, you had mentioned that the grade marking was going to be like downloaded or recorded. Is there?
I've got it
there
done,
something
and I've
people
got
can
it
access
at the BOM, and you can get a copy off my computer. After that, I'm gonna put it out on, I think we're gonna load it. Are we gonna do that on, the state website for the Patriot grade marking?
Question.
The video. Are we gonna put that, the video for the Patriot grade marking on the website?
My card,
That would be a color guard question. I do not know.
it should go on the website.
That's what I was
I would
hoping.
hope so.
It turned out that I've got two versions that you can download. One is a 15-minute version and one's a 54-minute version, which is the full.
I've got them all.
It was great.
This really good, turned out.
This man did a great job.
I'm not great. It turned out really well. The wind was good. We had good lighting. Everything worked really well. And your speech was great, especially pulling in 9/11.
That's when the bug flew in my eye. Couldn't get it out of my glasses.
I think it was a cheer, not a bad.
Everybody thought you were getting emotional.
Oh, and if you come to BOM, I have a special handout for anybody who needs information on where to buy sundries and accoutrements. I have a list, and I've also listed what you need to get started. All you need is a hat, a waistcoat, and wear some pants. Come and join us. We have, I'm sorry? Well, you know, if they've got a long waistcoat.
Oh, no.
But I listed that all you need to join us is a hat and a waistcoat, wear white shirts and pants, and come and join us. As you learn what we're doing and get more involved, you can add to it. That's what I did. I just added one piece at a time. And it's really to do so. And I encourage anyone here to join us. We're getting a lot of ladies getting in their outfits and joining us. We're going to have several at the Veterans Day Parade in Dallas.
That you're making announcements, let me go ahead and tell you. On our website, we are going to start having some good things. One announcement that we decided at the XCOM meeting this last week is that we are working toward having a company store, for lack of a better word. I like quartermaster store personally, but I'm not over the committee on that. But I do have Sam Massey, our president-elect, is the chairman of the committee. We are putting together some different ways to do it. And one of the things that we're going to have on there at the leadership conference up in Louisville, Kentucky last month, they approved our 250th anniversary medal. Now, it's a specially designed medal that we designed that has the Texas logo on it with the Minuteman. And it's got the 13 stars around it that represent 6 stars on one side, 6 on the other. And of course, Texas Society at the top with a star in the middle equals 13 stars for the 13 colonies. However, the secret of this medal is it's got 13 stars on it, but that one star between Texas and Society stands for the Lone Star, Texas. Just saying, okay, just saying. But it's a beautiful medal. It's red, white, and blue in the state of Texas. I was going to try to have a picture of it to kind of put on the registration desk for people to see. We ordered 100 sets. The money from this is going to be going toward our 250th anniversary fund. So that we can do, as you know, we partnered with New Jersey, where a lot of the battles that we talked about tonight took place. And we hopefully will have some different events with the compatriots from New Jersey. Hopefully some of us will be able to go up there. They come down here because, you know, we not a whole lot happened down here in Texas, but it'd be great for us to go up there. But it is some good things happening. Sam is doing a wonderful job with the 250th anniversary. Now the company store, we're trying, you know, like any other nonprofit, we got to get the finances down right and sales tax and whatever you do with all that stuff. I played football. I don't know much about math. So, but that's where we have chancellors and we have treasurers and people like that to do all that good stuff. But we'll have it all lined up. So hopefully I have a picture for you at the BOM. If not, it'll be something coming out on the website. But look forward to some good things. A lot of things have been happening and we're moving in a phenomenally good direction for Texas. Thank you for having me tonight.
Thank you. Thank you again. One other thing, Pete. So we're going through our nomination process. You want to say anything in particular other than?
Well, yeah, we put out the word that we were looking for anybody in the chapter that would be interested in serving on the nomination committee to let me know by last Friday.
You got one.
Got one. So
Nathan.
So Nathan and I will be getting together.
You gotta have an odd number, it's gonna get ugly. Right?
I don't put that with Nathan.
Not with Nathan, okay.
Not exactly what you call beat the door down for the job.
Really?
They don't pay all that well.
Okay.
Raise the salaries.
The guy's right, we can give you a 20% raise, see if we can get some interest up there, right? So basically, at this point in time, we're looking for
We'll be
people.
coming up with a slate. for the month of November.
They will present.
Yeah.
And then we will basically vote on that probably in November or December, okay? And then if all goes well, Jim has said, hopefully he should be able to come back and do the, yes, oh, that's right.
Let me talk about your. I told you, you should have limited me, you should have limited me. Okay, if you're thinking about being an officer, I want you to think about it. Really, we spread this out, and now on our website, we have training for every position in the chapter, every state officer position. We now have training on the website that you can go through. We'll take you through it. We've had district meetings. Gary Barker is a district vice president. We can help do the continual training with you guys. Step up if you're not sure about it. Go to the website and see these jobs. If we pile everything on one person, it's too much. But we don't do that. We should not do that. We shouldn't pile it on a new guy. Sorry, Andrew. We shouldn't pile it on other new guys, except they come and ask for it.
That's right.
No, really.
It's several that did
Really,
this
but
year.
you know, we could, jobs are specific. Now, some jobs are heavier than others, but I believe the mentor program, we take people through it, we teach them what the SAR stands for, what protocol is, different things like that, so that they know what we're talking about. But then we have training programs for the treasurer, the secretary, everything, all the way, even the committee chairman. We have training for them to do that. The national level, I'm on the National Strategic Planning Committee and the Communications Committee, and I've seen the new program, the new videos that they're going to be coming out with that are going to be really great. We're finally catching up to the world with resources that we can use to show people, say, it's not as bad as you think. And if you want to take a job, it's not as bad as you think, because hopefully we'll pull somebody along beside you that will help you get down the road until you feel comfortable doing it. And we'll do the training for you as well. Yes, it takes time, but it doesn't take as much time as you think if you know what you're doing. I'm sorry I'm talking so much.
No, you're doing good. So we just thought about it. You guys are the three musketeers, aren't you? Unless I missed somebody.
We all have the shirt.
So all three of these guys are brand new to the chapter, and all three of these guys volunteered to do the position they're in. We got our treasurer, our registrar, and now our vice president.
That's what I'm talking about, right?
Of awards. Okay. So I think let's see. All right. Okay, so any other, so let's see here, we've got at least 2 district vice presidents. Tom, T2, you got anything that you'd like to add tonight?
Hey, I'm just happy to be here, and I appreciate the invitation.
You're a Durham member, man. I'm expecting you to be.
It's nice to feel that you're wanted somewhere. Now I gotta walk into the Dallas chapter.
Oh, my goodness. Gary, anything to add?
I'm still in this weekend, and we've got some good events coming up. I don't know if y'all are having a Veterans Day parade in McKinney, but there is a large parade in Dallas. Bill Watson's hitting that one. Yeah, what have we got there?
Yeah.
Where are we now, about 35?
I have no idea. We've got a trailer to help us, we're having the VA show up, we've got Girl Scouts and the city.
Right,
And that's on November the 11th, on Veterans Day.
right.
November 5th is a parade in Sherman. We'll have a folks there.
Okay.
as well. That's the Saturday before, so there's no reason I can be able to hit something.
Right. And I think there's one in your town, your hometown too, that we're gonna try to
November 12th.
get some people to go to also. So, yep.
Tom, I think they want to try to close the restaurant now.
Well, we're good. Nathan's usually my clock. He used to tell me when it gets to 8:30 there.
I think you just did.
I think you just did. Do we have any other questions, comments? Okay,
Hearing none.
hearing none.
What about announcements?
Oh, come here. 5 more minutes, thank you. There you go.
This announcement's really not SAR business, but it's definitely local interest. This Saturday at McKinney High School from 9 to 4, McKinney ISD is hosting their 14th annual Holiday Bazaar. They have over 100 vendors of all kinds that you can think of. So if you're looking for holiday decor, gifts, or whatever, it's a great event to come to.
There you go. Okay. Hey, Don. Is he still on?
Yeah. I'm
Hey,
here.
Don.
Yeah, I'm here.
I don't hear him.
I'm here.
Try again. Hey, Don Bass.
You, I'm
Hold
here.
on.
I'm here.
Oh, say that again, please.
I said, I'm here.
Okay,
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Okay, we are ready for the benediction.
All right. Okay, we are ready.
Yes.
Our Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for what you have done for us tonight and in accomplishing the various things for the chapter. But now, Lord, as we leave, we ask that the grace of God, deeper than our imagination, the strength of Christ and stronger than our need, and the communion of the Holy Spirit, richer than our togetherness, guide and sustain us tonight in all of our undertakings. And Father, we ask that you give us journey mercies as we travel to our homes. We ask all this in the name of our Lord Jesus Christ. Amen.
Yeah. Okay, join me in the recessional. Until we meet again, let us remember our obligations to our forefathers who gave us our Constitution, Bill of Rights, and independent Supreme Court, and a nation of free men. Okay, adjourning this meeting. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for coming.